Welcome back, America. We had a story in the last 24 hours on justthenews.com. The national debt has now grown to $38 trillion. You say, well, wait a second. Didn't you just tell me a couple of weeks ago it was $37 trillion? The answer is, yeah, it was just a few weeks ago. In the shortest time ever in American history, the national debt went up $1 trillion in just a few short weeks. It's concerning, and we keep talking about it, but there hasn't been the panacea that we all have been looking for. My next guest was long a great fount of sanity in the spending sea of insanity that is Washington. He represented the great state of Louisiana for a long time. Congressman Garret Graves. Congressman, great to have you on the show.
Hey, good to be with you. Thank you.
All right. So I know you left. I know you left frustrated because there are so many ways that we could get a handle on this so quickly. How do we get to $38 trillion? Is there anybody with a plan that really could actually maybe stop the bleed?
Look, I think under this administration, you're seeing more disruption, more transformation in government than we have seen in decades and decades. It is amazing what's going on. I think it's going to take these fundamental changes. I mean, John, look, let's keep in mind, right now, government's been shut down for 3 weeks, a government that is $38 trillion in debt. And by far the majority of Americans, and I'd venture to say that 99.9% of Americans haven't skipped a beat. They haven't noticed a single impact in their daily lives, yet we continue spending money, continue printing money, continue expanding government, spending those limited taxpayer dollars in places where they don't belong. And so I think that this administration is absolutely the time, it's absolutely the place and where we can make some of these transformational changes.
Yeah. Congressman, as of right now, there are a lot of these videos circulating of people who are recipients of the SNAP program. And I keep hearing how much money they get every month. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, that's a full-time job. They are enraged that they would be required, the audacity of being required to work 20 hours per week. And I keep thinking, you add up all of these EBT recipients. I know it's a drop in the bucket compared to $38 trillion, but does that make much of a difference? And how many other programs like this can we take advantage of this fiscal sanity mode in our country and trim them down too?
It's a perfect example of where you have opportunity to improve government. Look, you can go across government. I think someone counted years ago and found 92 different anti-poverty programs. You can get free cell phones. You can get assistance with housing. You can get assistance with healthcare, assistance with transportation. As you've indicated, assistance with food. The assistance goes on and on and on and on. There's not a measure to see which of these are actually effective. Obviously, we don't want to leave people in poverty. We want to lift them out of poverty. These programs need to be a temporary hand up and not a hand out. You can go back and look, Amanda, over the last few decades when Newt Gingrich was speaker, there were tightening of the restriction or tightening of access to those programs, trying to force people or encourage them to get into the workforce. Just a few years ago, that happened again as we were negotiating debt ceiling, where we further tightened or required that folks, after a period of time, must volunteer, go to school, get job training, volunteer at their church for 20 hours a week in order to continue to get taxpayer-funded benefits like food assistance. These aren't crazy. They aren't mean or cruel. These are things that truly recognize the fact that money doesn't grow on trees. Taxpayers are funding this, and it needs to be temporary assistance. So many other programs that could be consolidated, identifying the programs that help get you out of poverty and back into the workforce. That's what we need to be doing. And I think using different types of AI tools and others can help us to measure which of these programs are working and which ones are not.
Yeah. We just had a story. I think Doge is now up to about $218 billion in savings. That's a nice dent. We got a little bit of a dent with the rescission. We got a little bit of a dent with the big, beautiful bill. What's the next big cut? Is it while we're still shut down, does President Trump say, I'm riffing not 20,000, but 100,000 workers now because we've gone on too long? Where do you think would be the next big cut that someone could make that might have some lasting impact?
I'll give you two examples, John, where I think you have huge opportunities. First of all, taking a look at what's happened over the last 3 weeks with all these agencies, programs shut down, figuring out, look, do we need to turn these things back on? Which one of them have truly had impacts, truly bring value to American citizens, and determine which ones don't, which ones haven't had impacts over the last 3 weeks that they've been shut down. The second thing that I think is really important is that we really need to look at the federal government, the state government, and the local government, and stop having duplicates and triplicates in programs and efforts. Where can we consolidate? Where can we have one level of government be responsible and perform a duty instead of having 3 different layers of the same capability, taxpayers paying for the same thing 3 times over again? I think those are 2 areas where we have a big opportunity to save hundreds of billions of dollars as we further consolidate or reduce spending.
Yeah. Congressman, as Sean said, I know you left Congress very, very frustrated about the spending problem because that's what it is. Your time in Congress, though, did you ever come across a Democrat who found an area of government that they did want to cut? And I'm meaning this serious. I'm not making a joke. Was there ever like a major area of government that they wanted to cut?
I remember I worked with former Congressman Joe Kennedy on a bill where we were trying to eliminate this bureaucratic process where a constituent had to fill out a piece of paper and mail it to you in order to get assistance. And we were able to save millions of dollars and put an online system in place to where you could get help faster from your member of Congress. So Congressman Kennedy and I did work on that one. But look, I think, Amanda, going back to the previous administration, under the Biden administration, you saw programs like the American Rescue Plan, like the CHIPS Act, like the infrastructure bill that they did, and this so-called IRA that was a big energy giveaway bill. While I don't want to paint with an overly broad brush and say every single thing in those bills was absurd, those were trillions, not millions, not billions, trillions of dollars in extra spending, expanding government, getting government, calling human infrastructure an area of infrastructure where the federal government needed to invest. It was this gross expansion, getting the federal government invested to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, trying to force energy markets in directions where markets don't want to go and can't be sustained. And so this is an opportunity to refocus government back on the things that government needs to be doing, putting them at the appropriate levels at state, federal, and local, and stop this ridiculousness because we are on an unsustainable trajectory. And of course, some would argue that we're already there.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of people deeply concerned about it. Congressman, we miss your passion. We miss your wisdom in this town, but it's sure good to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, you bet. Great being with you. And sorry about the football team in Auburn, man. I hope y'all are able to turn it around.
Oh, I knew he was going to slip that in. Great to have. Poor Amanda. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll break down all the lies the government media told us about ivermectin. That's important. We were scared off from something that is a great, great solution. We'll get you into that right after these messages. Hey, folks, if you snore and your partner hasn't moved to another room yet, congratulations. You've either found true love or your partner has no other place to go. Let's talk about what your partner really wants in bed. Silence. Stop keeping them awake from your snoring and giving them 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Zepa is the only FDA-approved and patented anti-snoring solution invented by a leading sleep doctor that stops snoring at the source. Zepa has a 91% success rate backed by a 91-night sleep guarantee. That's pretty great. For a limited time, go to Zepa.com and use the code JTN or text JTN to 511-511 and get the absolute best solution, guaranteed to stop your snoring with a Happy Z pack and save over 24% off. Plus, Zepa will donate $10 to breast cancer research. Visit Zepa, ZYPPAH.com. Use the code JTN or text JTN to 511-511 and save over 24% off with the Happy Z pack and start improving your sleep health today. That's a good thing. Remember, Zepa is Happy Z spelled backwards. Text fees may apply.